Hi there, my name is Austin. This is my 1990 Nissan Skyline sedan that I imported from Japan back in 2008. I've had the car for a long time, enjoyed it. I put 150,000 kilometers on it, blew the motor, put another motor in, and then just being silly, I started up and revved the hell out of it, and it ended up creating a knock. So we're gonna tear the engine down, see what actually failed inside the engine. I have a suspicion it's number 2, the connector rod bearing failed, but that was due to me revving the engine when it was cold, and that's just a bad idea. I'm going to explain to you the importance of letting your car warm up, cool down, and see what kind of catastrophic failure we have, and then repair it and go from there. So my motor does have a little bit of a knock. It is a fairly loud engine as well, just with some of the work I've done prior. So I'm going to show you what it sounds like when I rev it up a little bit, and you'll see it does come and go. So we're going to take it apart and see what's going on and why it's happening. That's good, that's good, that's good. That's good, that's good, that's good. So this is my motor. You can hear it's got a lot of noise to it. That's just due to how it is. But this is the knock, it comes and goes. As you can hear, it's running. It does have a knock. It is also a very loud motor, just from some of the stuff I've done in it prior. So when we tear it all down, we'll see what failed and why. So really quick tip for most early to late 90s Nissans. Most of the tools you do need are a 10 mil, 12 mil, 14 mil, 17 mil, and 19 mil sockets and wrenches. The wrenches are important for certain things that you need to use them for, which that was funny. That's what happens. Put them in my pockets for now. The wrench is important for, like, one of the things I'll show you when we put the transmission back in is to put the drive shaft back on. You actually need a wrench. You can't do it with a socket. It's too tight. That's just the right way to do it. So I'll show you guys that when we get to it. So I'm going to take the strut bar off now because I can either take it off here or take it off here. I'm just going to take it off at these points. I'm going to repaint it during this process before I put it back on. And it's not super important for me to have it. Like, it's not going to make a big difference right now. The car drives fine without it. It's just a little extra bracing. There we go. And once this brace is off, I will be putting the nuts back on because I have made the mistake one time prior where I didn't have the nuts on and I lifted the car up and the struts both came out. Well, I guess they're coilovers, not struts. Takes that off nice and easy like that. Set it aside here. Like I said, throw them back on. I'm not going to put them back on all the way because the coilovers won't fall out with them being somewhat on. But just in case I go to lift it again, and like I said, I've done it before and made that mistake. And the strut bar, what it does is adds extra rigidity to the vehicle. The better ones to get are the ones that are one solid piece. They're stronger. They have no flex points. Mine does, but it still works, just not as, there's more potential if I would have got a proper one. But they're also a little bit more money. Now I'm going to do the turbo cold side pipe, and then I'm going to undo the throttle body coupler as well, and start getting that stuff out of the way. These are really good clamps. Don't use hose clamps. I have blown so many hose clamps apart to get the proper clamps. So because these clamps are aftermarket, this is actually an 11 mil, not a 10 mil, so I gotta grab a different socket. And it fits like a glove. 10 mil back in. You want to loosen them off quite a bit. Don't take them all the way off, because then it's kind of a pain in the butt to put it back on. So that comes off nice like that. This one's going to be a little, it's not too bad. There we go. So now we have that part out, and you see you have a lot more room to do what we need to do. The wastegate line will stay on. The power steering pump, I'm just going to undo it and leave it so I don't have to drain the power steering system, because we're pulling the motor straight out. We will be pulling the radiator out of the car too, because one mistake I have seen and have done myself as well is you leave the rad in, you pull the motor, it swings, and it ends up you hit the rad, put a hole in it, you don't know, put everything back together, and then it starts leaking right away. And it's just something very avoidable that a lot of people overlook because they get rushed. It's a project's not done right over in a night. It takes time. And I've made my mistakes doing that many times with my own car. Now this one is a 10. I've had this one off enough times the past 2 days that it's become almost my favorite thing to do. Just kidding. Oh! I don't know if you caught that on the camera, but as soon as I pulled that off, the motor tilted back more. That's how much, well, that's how strong these are, but that's how much force was against it as well. I'm going to start by cutting some zip ties off, because then I can start pulling some of the harness out. So, one other really good tip, and people say it all the time and no one listens, and it'll never happen to me. Don't cut towards yourself. I have a really nasty scar on one of my fingers. That was 17 stitches. Alright. Now I'm going to start undoing the harness. So first is your cam angle sensor or CAS. These like to go bad on these earlier model, RB20, RB25, 26. I believe the R32s and 33s, those generations share the same one. And inside here, it's actually driven by the camshaft. It has a little keyway that it goes into. And if you put it in the wrong way, you break the keyway off inside the camshaft, and then your camshaft is garbage. But when we have that off and we have the motor out, we'll show you what we're talking about and how it's really easy to go in. If it tries to go in tough, stop because you're not doing something right. And this is going to be my throttle position sensor. And so is this one. This is an aftermarket manifold with a 90 mil throttle body in it. We'll get more of it as it's out, and kind of you can see everything going on. My air intake temp sensor for the Haltech ECU. That just comes through here. Look at that, we got a good chunk of harness out already. I need a 12 mil, which is that in my pocket. I'm going to use my extremely short extension here, the shortest one I have, to get this bolt out. And this is the ground strap for the injectors. This is grounds on Nissans, Toyotas, Hondas, Mazdas are very important. Just ground your engine, makes better power, all that. It's just, people overlook it. They're like, oh, I don't need all of them. There are some vehicles that I have worked on that if you have one ground left loose, the car won't start. And it could be like the stupidest ground like this one here, which really looks like it does nothing. The car won't start. Sit there and chase it for hours. Like, what's going on here? Why won't it start? Well, that's why. Air intake, or my IAC cold start valve, which is what helps meter the air when you start your car when it's cold. Adds more air, adds less air, kind of helps it out. That's a coolant temp sensor. There's two on these motors. If one coolant temp sensor goes bad, your car will run like an absolute bag of garbage. Oil pressure sensor goes literally between the harness. That's why. All right, so we have most of the harness out. So Now I'm going to be taking the coil pack cover off. There are supposed to be bolts in here, but I am lazy and left them out because I was having issues. I had to pull spark plugs out several times. This is your igniter chip. So in older cars, the distributor does this, and that's how you distribute the power to each coil pack, knows when to fire it, what order it's supposed to be in. This little guy comes out here, and there be the coil packs. That guy there connects into the coil pack harness as well. Let's connect that. And there's one more connector here. And that one almost broke. So these connectors are really old, so they're known to be brittle and break easily. And there we go. Set the harness on the side like that. So now we have the engine harness completely off the car. We have a turbo, the downpipe, the exhaust is already off. Well, so we have the dump pipe, the downpipe's off. See the motor mounts, like I said, the power steering pump we're going to leave in. We're just going to unbolt it, set it to the side. I will probably put some rags in these. I'll probably get the heater core lines off back here. So these two lines, get them off. A little bit better, these two lines back here. They are brittle though. They are known to break very easily, like stupidly easily. So they're plastic, so you gotta be gentle. If you break them, you'll have coolant inside your cabin, like on your passenger seat, and it'll leak forever until you replace it. And to replace those, you have to pull a dash out of the car. Doesn't matter what it is. Well, majority of cars, sorry, not every car. But this car, you have to pull the dash out. Not too hard on these, but try to avoid that happening. If I remember correctly, these are 8 mils. They're also a Phillips head, but they usually round out. And these clamps, wire clamps, so they're different styles. So this is called a wire clamp. It's a piece of wire and it goes over. These are a really poor clamp. And you don't want to yank on them. That's a guaranteed way to break it. A little wiggle here and there and gently. Alright, so that's one heater core line off. So you can see, they're just plastic here. You're gurgling, you're going to start leaking coolant, aren't you? This one might come off a little bit easier. Nope. The clamp wants to be a little bit looser. As soon as you feel any type of resistance, just try and loosen the clamps off as much as you can. I'm being a little bit aggressive with this one. I shouldn't be. But these hoses have also, these are the original heater hoses on my car. Oh, there we go. Nice little twist there. And then blip. Like I said. But very little because we already drained all the coolant. Drain the coolant is the first part that's most important, or else you make a giant mess. And we don't make giant messes. I've already had one tonight. This is the upper rad hose. Now I don't remember what size all of these are, but I don't have to take all of them off. Just like butter. That was actually a lot easier than I was hoping it was going to be, which is nice. It's nice when things work really well. This temperature sensor too for the coolant. It's another temperature sensor. That one's disconnected. It goes, plugs in down there. You'll see when the rad's out. It'll be easier to see. So I have one more bolt on the bottom, and then I can undo the two 10 mils up here and pull the rad out. So before I do pull this lower rad hose off, I am going to throw a drain bucket underneath it just so it doesn't make a mess. Because I did drain it, but there's still going to be some fluid in there. It's impossible to get all the fluid out. Well, I guess, sorry, it's not impossible. You can use air and flush it out that way, but it's just easier to do it like this. Sorry, probably not a really good view right now because my hands are really far down. So I'm going to grab a drain pan here that I have. This is the one we had coolant in earlier that we've drained out since then. Just put it right in the radiator there. So it's, should be able to see it here, straight down here. And there we go, a little bit of coolant coming out. Right, so then I'll have to undo these two 10 mil bolts and we'll pull the rad out and then we'll have more room. You can see a lot more. Take these guys off, come off nice and easy. You can hear the rad still draining a bit. I'll pick it up out of its holes. Just tilt it a bit. Get more out of it. That's about as much as I'm going to get. There we go. See, so these two holes in here aren't just for airflow and all that. It's actually access holes for the bolts that are behind it to get them out. You can use a wrench, it's kind of tight. It's not ideal, but there's a couple different ways you can go about it. I'll probably just turn the motor by hand just to get to line up. So now I'm going to my giant drawer of random sockets. See if I have one here that is the right size. I can't remember what size it is. There's a 30 mil, 32 mil, an inch and an eighth. So I'm just turning the crank slightly, like it's not, I'm putting a ton of pressure on, so it's not going to round the bolt or anything like that. I could use a ratchet, but using a breaker bar is a lot easier. If I want to make it really easy on myself, I'll pull the spark plugs out, but I'm not in the mood to do that. Man, I like a little bit of torture. You can see right there is a 12 mil bolt. So like I said, you have to turn the pulley to be able to get in there and see it. Perfect. So now you can see it. That's a 12 mil bolt. That's one of the two. I actually will get my shorter extension because I found it. I'm not sponsoring for anything for Snap-on tools, but one reason why I love these extensions is they're an actual wobble. And they stay on. So you don't get like extreme angles. It just helps with a lot of tight things. So I love using them. Highly recommend if you're doing stuff like this. It's a little expensive by one at a time or whatever, but it just makes your life a little bit easier. Oh, of course, it's going to be too long. Or gets in the way. But with the radiator out of the way, it doesn't really matter because I have a longer one. Same thing as a swivel. I know it's a little overkill. Are they not 12s? Did I lie to myself? Oh, they aren't. They're 14s. Look at that. I tricked myself. Holy moly, she be tight. Yay, it came free. So this is a pretty long bolt. It goes through pretty decent depth. And when I have it off, I'll show you. The pinch bolt on the back, so when it tightens up, it pinches it. So there's an extra security feature. And I forgot that it had the adjuster down here. That's the 12. That's what I was thinking was the 12. So if you look right here, so that's your adjustment for the belt, because these aren't auto adjusting. You have to adjust them yourself. And then there's a bolt down here you have to undo. I'll try and get a view from the front. You have to undo the one bolt to be able to move it. And if you don't undo it, you'll break the bolt. Don't ask me how I know. It's not funny. I've done it to myself. It was just silly moments. But for right now, I can undo it. Just don't try and tighten it because it's not going to move. Like it just comes loose. It's still tight. But if you try and tighten it when it's still tight, oh boy, it gets grumpy. And if you just saw that, it just dropped down and my socket hit the floor, but that's okay. So did that one. I'm doing good here. Neither one went in the oil bucket. Winning for that one. So you can see it's loose. Oh, it's because it's not loose enough. I forgot. You have to loosen the adjuster nut off, or the bolt off as much as you can to be able to get it to go down more. So you can get the belt off. Just like that. We have the belt off. Just take this guy all the way out. Oh, you're long.
That's what she said.
I could have taken the bracket off too, I guess. So I do have to take that front one off. That's okay. If I was smart, I would grab my socket wherever it fell, but I'll get that after we get this off, because just get focused on it. It's not the end of the world. This is what happens. I was a little too far down. There we go. So, there we go. Power steering pump's off and to the side. So I will take this bracket off here. It's two 12 mil bolts. This bracket right here, I'll take it off just because that makes it easier when it comes out. It won't get caught on the power steering pump. Put that up here with the other long bolt for it. And I'll find my 12 mil. We'll pull that bracket off now so I don't forget. These guys off. And a good thing to do, I don't do it. I've taken a lot of cars apart and it's just how I've learned. But what I would recommend is when you take a bolt out, try and put it back in where it was so you don't lose it. The nice thing about the RBs, a lot of the bolts are the same, but just anything you're doing, just put them back in the holes if they're not going to get in your way. All right. So now you see without that bracket, there's a lot more room. All right, so what I'm going to do, we're going to finish up tonight with getting a few more things undone. I'm going to disconnect the oil cooler lines right here that go to the block. We're gonna flush these out and these lines right now, or not right now, later on, but just undo them so we can get out properly. Undo this AN fitting for the fuel rail, get this coupler off out of the way. Get this guy here. Came off nice and easy. Well, that part did. Oh, are we gonna get lucky? You know what? That's good enough. Just out of the way like that. More room. So I can make sure I don't get this hose caught on anything. There are a couple connectors down there that we'll show tomorrow too when I get in there. Just the lighting is not the greatest right now. You're supposed to use an AN wrench for these. I don't have one. The fittings are already not perfect. If they were perfect, I would care a lot more on what I was on making sure they were pristine. It's okay for me, right? If I replace the lines, I would definitely change them into or use proper AN wrenches for these. And AN, the wrenches are aluminum, so they don't mar anything and create grooves and stuff like this. And this is a Greddy oil filter relocation kit. The reason why I run this is, like I was saying earlier with the starter, far down here, when we have the motor, you'll see more. That's where the oil filter actually goes, and it's a pain in the butt to undo. I've had a lot of experience on doing them. It's not fun. This here was the best solution, and I mounted it here. It goes to the oil cooler up front. Looks really clean, in my opinion. And that's why I did that. Same thing, another AN fitting here. Just using a crescent wrench. I could get proper sizes and do it the right way, or get, like I said, the right wrenches, but they're already marked up, so I'm just going to be as careful as I can to not wreck them anymore. This is the fuel line. It comes from the fuel pressure regulator, which comes, the fuel supply from the tank to here, to the fuel rail. It's adjustable, so I can change the pressure on the car. I have issues with this too, because I did kill the fuel pump, so it wasn't getting enough pressure. That was after the knock started, so it was little, it wasn't like too little, it just, one thing after another kind of just failed. But that's why I love this thing. It gives me challenges. That's up and out of the way. Here. And this is the return line to it. So I'm just going to loosen that off, so that way it's just off when I pull. I don't need it on when I take the motor out. And this goes to the filter. So, sorry, supply through here. Yeah, supply through here, goes through the rail. This is actually the return that goes back to the tank, and that's what regulates the pressure. So the pressure hits it and starts building up before it starts to dump back in the tank. So that line's off there. So, that's pretty much it. All right, we're getting ready to drop the transmission out of the car here. As you can see, we had to remove the downpipe and the drive shaft. Drive shaft makes sense because it's connected to the transmission, and you just got to take it out. Be careful, they are heavy. They can swing a bunch of different ways. The downpipe, if you have a stock one, usually you don't have to take it off, but with the aftermarket one, because it's wider, it's harder on the bell housing to slide it past. So that's why we just removed this stuff first. It's pretty easy stuff. It's 3 bolts at the front there, 2 back here. 2 bolts here to mount to the body for the hanger bearing, and then 4 nuts and bolts in the back. Really simple. As you can see, the car's back down on the ground. We have the transmission out next to it. So our next step is going to be taking the hood off and pulling the motor out. And you'll see that there's a little spot here when the hood's off where I have a chain that's going to come down for us to pull the motor out of the car.